Because the nature of this film, and I don't really dive into politics and or religion in regards to reviews and whatnot, I'm just going to start off by saying that women should have the ability and right to make the decisions for their body, and men should not have anything to do with it. With that being said, let's jump into the review of this new documentary right now. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel today for another review. Today we're going to be reviewing the film On the Divide, which is going to be making its world premiere in a documentary competition at Tribeca Film Festival 2021. Now, like I said, I don't really get into politics and or religion when it comes down to reviews or just any type of content I make. But because of the nature of this film, we will just talk about what this film is highlighting, and really the courageous people that came forth into being a part of this. But we are taking a look down in the south in the Rio Grande Valley region of Texas, where you have a town that's basically divided into two: pro-life versus pro-choice. And with that, you're dealing with a combination of politics, religious belief, or just past testimony, or some may say just human rights. And with that being said, with new legislations coming into play, Ted Cruz, who is your senator at the time, and he and his beliefs and how his beliefs and his choices that he's making is affecting the town. We're getting to look into different vantage points of everybody who's involved here. We're talking about, we're not really getting a political view, but we did get a quick stance from what Ted Cruz's beliefs are. You're looking at people who work in these medical centers. You're looking at people who want to be able to get care. You got people who are totally against it, the protesters. You got security guards, and then we have this one person, Mercedes, who I'm really going to dive into in a second. But yeah, you're getting a glimpse of just the different people and their different vantage points of everything that's kind of happening with the town. And that's why the title really suffices here, because you really do got a town, yet a nation split into two about their opinions and their beliefs about pro-life versus pro-choice. But yeah, we're seeing the effects of how many people and employees in their day-to-day with everything that's going on with this, because everybody has different walks of life. Therefore, like, when it comes down to these different things, that people are at foes. There are definitely a war that's on the streets here because of this, and you're seeing that. But it's really interesting to see it from this perspective, because like, while we do all know this exists, actually being able to see it from the ones who are a part of this day to day and how this affects their life or their employment or their religious belief, is really interesting and special. And again, I think they're very courageous for everyone who was a part of this. So Mercedes, the person I'm talking about here, who's an ex-gang member, her story is very interesting, and she really puts it on the forefront here. Because she talked about being in the gang, and once you're in the gang, you're always in the gang, even though she stepped away from hanging with those people. And she talked about a story at a time that where a rival gang was trying to kill her, and she had to like really lay low, and she stayed at her grandma's house. Come to find out, she was pregnant, and she wanted to go get an abortion, yet a lady at the clinic really was there for her and persuaded her not to do so. Thus, she would end up having her son, and she loves her kids. She has 3 kids, I believe. But now, now that she's away from the gang, she's really religious. She's Catholic, and she is a God-fearing woman, regardless of what her what she may look like. She's very, very much religious. But now that she's separated from her ex-boyfriend, and she's lost custody of her kids because of some addiction issues, she now has a new boyfriend. This new boyfriend just happens to be abusive as well, so she's having a hard time trying to maintain healthy relationships. Her ex-boyfriend also thinks, her boyfriend also thinks, her abusive boyfriend also thinks that by having a baby, this fixes everything. Also, Mercedes tends to think if she has a baby as well too, this may be appeasing to the church. Well, as we all know, sometimes having babies or even using babies as collateral is not really the reasonable way to go about things. But with that being said, she is in a really tough position, and she happens to be a unique person who actually sees things from both sides, where she sees that the care from the medical centers really can aid somebody who are in difficult situations. And she likes to think that she's been through a lot. Imagine somebody who hasn't, who's in her same shoes, and what that could ultimately result with her. So yeah, she's torn between the church and her available resources, and I think she's just incredibly brave to really put this to the forefront, because while she even said it herself, yes, she may be contradicted, but like this is the time where she needs to do what's best for herself and to help herself first. And I thought that's a really powerful statement that she's made. We also get to talk to a security guard, Ray, who protects the patients when they're at the medical centers. And he was one of the ones who was attacked. He was stabbed randomly just because of this. And thus he retired from it. But him, who's really a non-biased person, who's just there to just do a security job, is even affected by this as well. And then we also get to talk to the healthcare workers, and we get to hear about their choices of being pro-choice and being a part of the productive justice, So, they're affected because they're trying to ban abortion care and all of its funding, and they can't do their job if they don't have money, which is a really tough place to be in. And they look at it from a stance of saying, like, we've seen victims, and there's also a historical case of which somebody who wasn't able to get proper care ultimately died because of so they see it from that position. And then obviously the religious people are also really about pro-life, where they just want to make sure that there's no abortion clinics open, there's no funding, contraceptives, or anything of that sort. That it's just really about giving any life, all life, a choice. So again, that's why this is a really interesting documentary, because we're seeing it from both ways, and I think it's a very informative documentary. I don't think it's swaying you any type of way. I think it's just trying to open your eyes out to the war that's happening in the nation and to start conversations. And I think that's super, super important. And then I also think too, even the smallest town in Texas, which is right on the border of Mexico, how you could just quickly overlook it and realize that it's completely ripping that town apart, yet the nation as well, because they've taken it all the way to DC, in order to make stances on this. And things are still pretty much happening right now today, where they're trying to get new laws passed to do so. And then Alabama, which we know Alabama completely has passed some of the most horrific laws out there in regards to women's rights. And I just think that this documentary is definitely doing a good job in highlighting the different things that are happening right now into society. So again, On the Divide, I think is probably the only documentary I'm checking out this year at Tribeca, and this was a good one. I learned a lot of information, a lot of perspectives, and I very much appreciate the really courageous people into getting this done. And knowing that this is happening right now, and knowing how this is really destroying small towns, and the lives who are affected by this, and even for people like Ray, who are just trying to do a job, who are affected. He's almost like an innocent bystander here, being stabbed off duty just because of where he does for a living, and I that's a very serious thing. He has a family, and he could have lost his life just by nothing. And that's why this is a war, because people are being attacked by this. This is not just one somebody voices versus somebody else's voice. This is not a debate. It's a war that's going down here. So I think it's really, really interesting. I definitely think people should check this out. Definitely jump in the comments, let me know your thoughts about this once you check it out. Be kind, people, too. Again, I know that because of the ramifications of this, we're talking about religious belief and political beliefs and whatnot. I want to focus on the idea of this being a film that is showcasing and highlighting information that needs to be out there for you to make your own decision, and be a part of whatever stance you feel suits your life. So that's where I'm gonna leave it at that. But nonetheless, folks, let me know in the comments your thoughts about this, and I'll see you around for more reviews very soon.